Welcome back, you guys, to another episode of the Paladins Bugcast. My name is Allie Bug. I'm here with my friends today, Tino and Rays. Tino,
Hey, hey, it's your boy Tino, back at it again with another Bugcast.
Hey y'all, it's your boy, Mr. Sexy Potato. Thanks for joining us and welcome back to the Bugcast.
yes, we're so happy to have you guys back. I know it's been a minute. That's totally my fault. You guys don't have to be mad at anybody on the panel except me because my life's been a little chaotic. The last episode that we actually put out was a month ago. Well, actually, tomorrow would be a month ago because it was on Caden's birthday weekend that I had to start prolonging it because we went away that weekend, and then that following week I started my new job. You guys know I like basically for the last month I've been settling into my new job. Um, and so that's been kind of messing up the timing. And you will notice panel members coming in and out of the panel. If you were paying attention to my Twitter this morning, I released a 3 minute disclaimer explaining I will be uploading episodes 2 and 3. So we are doing episode 4 live right now on Twitch. Last time we did it both on TikTok and Twitch. This time it's just on Twitch because it was last minute. I didn't have time to set up the TikTok. The reason why I had to put out a disclaimer for those that hadn't been in streams last couple of weeks or days is I didn't really have a falling out, but because of some drama that happened with a person who was on the panel, I had to separate myself from the person and the person involved with that. Therefore, it might strike you as confused to when I upload episode 2 and 3. You're going to hear voices of people that are no longer on the panel. So, just so that there's not a confusion there, just be aware that there will be episodes 2 and 3 where you will hear from people who aren't on the panel, and that's just a decision that I came to. So I'm sorry if you grew to like those people for those 2 episodes, but they're not in it. Lich has graduation today, so if you are watching this later on YouTube, comment congrats for Lich or congrats Lich or Lich with a heart or something in the comments to show appreciation for our boy. He graduated. Shout out to him. We love that. We love when the kids are staying in school and people are pursuing college and doing things. We love that. We encourage education here. Today's episode is episode 4, Builds Part 2. We did part 1 on episode 3. So that episode, that's another reason why I didn't want to not upload it due to the drama. Dude, we had an hour and a half on episode 2, and then episode 3 was like 58 minutes. So we had some really good conversations that we talked about, and I just don't feel it's right to everybody that was involved, in creating it, postponing it, or not posting it, or re recording it. People spend their personal time to be around me and be with me and be a part of this project, and it wouldn't be right for me to just scrap that and be like, hey, by the way, we're not doing it anymore, bye. So like I know you can't get that hour back of your time, but I need it again, by the way. Like, that's just rude. So builds part 2, we're talking about popular, unpopular builds, and meme builds. We're going to be notating anything if you are in live audience. Well, we're not in the Discord. Normally we do the Discord stage. This time we're on stream together. So in case you guys are wondering, I'm here with Rays and Tino. We're on the streaming together platform. I'll be notating as we speak about whatever, as we go into it, and I'll be flip-flopping between paladins and such. So with the builds, I kind of want to hear just an overall, what is your opinion? So we'll go backwards. So, Rays, what is your opinion on what makes a build popular versus what doesn't make the build popular? That's a really good question. And before you answer that, let me just type it up over here because I kind of want to ask our chat. So let's make a poll over here in chat. Oh, you can go ahead and answer and I'll type it up. Rays?
I'm sorry, I'm thinking it's kind of loud. That's why
Oh,
I'm muted.
my bad. I know you said it's
You're
like
good.
loud, so I
You're
didn't know
good.
if you were like away or not.
No, I'm here. Yeah.
Excuse me. Or Justin, if you want to answer, if you know right away.
Um, yeah, so I don't know. Like, I guess biggest thing with builds is test it out. There's definitely cards that don't sound very impactful, but then you play with them and it's like, oh, Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, makes a huge difference.
Yeah. Uh,
Always try be open to try out all the cards
I like that. Yeah. I'll
because
admit I'm not.
one card can. I'm like because you'll look at one card and be like, oh, this isn't gonna be useful to me, and then when you actually use it and apply it to your other cards alongside your build, you're like, holy crap, why have I been sleeping on this?
Do you think about like it's not just cards though? Like you don't think about other stuff affecting it?
I
um,
do take it into consideration. Like I do like it depends on like the talent you pick. So like some cards I won't use on certain talents,
Mm,
as to there are certain cards I will use on just a specific talent.
I like that.
I agree with that. Your talent's definitely gonna be a huge part of the decision making of the cards that you use along with it. I think another thing is if you want to test the strength of a card, put it at level 5 and then build the rest of your build around that card just to see how much impact you can get out of that one card, and then see how much, the rest of the cards can support that one card too. If you have that one card at level 5 and it's not really doing much, then maybe it's not the best card. Maybe other cards are more useful, but if you have it at level 5, like speed term, for
I
example, I know we'll get into that later, but the
yeah.
speed card completely changes and makes term like some, I don't know, it makes term so much more fun in my opinion.
I agree. And the fact they said I'm kind of glad that you said like level 4 or 5 because I was gonna say like yeah I wanna pick your brain to that level like be as specific as possible. So like you
Hmm.
said level 4 or 5 cards, whereas an unpopular build has like a bunch of filler cards.
Yeah, you'll see a lot of unpopular builds that just don't have any cards maxed out and stuff.
So
You'll see like
eh,
3 3 3 3 3s. Like, trust me,
that is literally about what I was about to say for
those
the
three three
unpopular
three
builds.
builds
Do
are
not
not good.
ever make a 3-3-3 build ever.
We said this on the
Three three
last. I
three
remember
builds are
that.
just not that great.
They're just not.
It's
I know
very
it
rare
seems
that you find a three three
tempting.
three three build that works.
I know that you mentioned on the last one we were talking about it, which is why I kind of included it in the poll. It's in the live if you guys want to vote. What makes a build popular versus unpopular? I put cards, comps, and items. I included that because I feel like personally the comps you're running and the items you're buying, along with like Ray said, the talents, will make a huge impact to what's
Hmm.
popular. Like what you're gonna run because you're knowing what to buy along with it.
Agree. I think the comps will make a pretty big decision in the builds that you're doing too. Um,
I
I'm
kind
trying to think of an example. Like if you have a very mobile kind of team, like team that has a lot of mobility,
mm-hmm.
you'll probably want, if you have the option to have kind of, like a zoomies build and you're on a character that doesn't have mobility, maybe you go with that so you can keep up with the rest of the team. If it's viable, of course.
Ways to maximize efficiency. Oh, I always spell this word wrong.
Yeah, I'm so happy for spell check.
Oh fuck me. Oh my god, I spelled this so fucking wrong. Jesus Christ. Ah, CNC. CNC. Efficiency. CNC. I always fucking words like that. I always tear it up. I swear, it's so bad. I just had a stroke. Bro. Okay. All right, and then obviously, like for meme builds, for funsies. Ooh, I'll move that completely. So, like here, for meme builds, we're just looking to have fun. It's literally like that simple.
Yeah, honestly, meme builds are just all about having fun.
In
I think this is
ways.
where you still usually have like cards maxed out 4 or 5. Like you're usually revolving that around like one specific card that's kind of like changing.
Yeah. That's why I just put here. I was like, ways to exploit card strengths and
Ooh, yeah,
weaknesses.
I like that. I like that.
Because honestly, that's how I test whether a card in my opinion, is like worth or not. I miss when we all went the same champs. Those were the days. We used to make some pretty wonky. We'd have like 5 Saruses on the same team, all running different builds. You got Tank Sarus, Speedy Sarus, Ulti Sarus. Like it was just wild. It was so fun. I Oh my god, don't get me excited. Like those were the days, dude.
Those were fun.
Those were so
There's Ying
fucking fun.
clones everywhere
Oh
when there's full
my god.
Ying
I
teams.
made a whole friend
There's
with a
so many
whole
explosions.
streamer who was obsessed with Ying. Like he loved Ying. And we went all Yings. Elk remembers. Like it was so fun. Niche builds may or may not work.
Yeah, they're good for very specific situations or comps.
Good for specific scenarios.
Sometimes you'll have like niche builds that are directly to counter someone else. Or for like very map specific choices, like
Mm-hmm.
Barrack, for example, on Timbermill, you're probably gonna want to give up Fortify and go Tinkering because you need that extra range.
Yeah.
Or same thing for like Stone Siege. Those really long maps where his shotgun isn't gonna go very far,
Yeah.
he might need to substitute out. Well, I guess that's not really a build, that's a talent, but
Yeah.
you know, you build your build around the talent. I don't know.
You do. No, I
See
know
where
what
I'm
you're
trying to go
saying.
with
Yeah.
it.
And anyone else, if you guys have anything you want to add, we can always like touch this up too. Um, so examples of this could be, now that we've got Paladins up and we can flip flop between, let's say, like he was saying, hold on, where is Barrack? What the fuck? It's right here. So like, with Barrack, as you know, those of you that play him, if you're new to the game, he's got 3 talents. He's got Forge Fire, Tinkering, and Fortify. One, I can tell you right off the rip, is a favorite because it's Mimi, and that's the Forge Fire. You're just spamming your turrets and ulting frequently. That is all the talent is. It's hilarious, it's funny, but it's not always the best choice. Tinkering is more for, damage for those headshots. Fortify is, the point tank talent. All 3 of these are your base talents. However, it gets deeper than that. As you get into the game and you start building, your actual builds per the talent, like Justin was saying, this one's called meme for good reason. Like, it's just rocket boots. Like, it's stupid as fuck. And you heal while standing near your turrets. Like, this is such a dumbass build, but it's funny. And it works. That's the funny part about it, but it works. But that's why every character in this game has a default build or loadout that has the talent as the name of the build. When I first started this game, I assumed that you always had to name your builds according to the talent. Then I got to being funny with the names. If you're a person like me, you remember based on the smallest thing possible to like pick your brain. You know what I mean? Like for me, I have certain builds that I run on Betty because I know, if I get a free movement game, I'm going FD for Fiery Disposition. Well, actually, no, that's a lie. Schmoovin is the best movement build I have. Which I actually need to tweak this a little bit. But this one and FD are like my movement, they're more movement based and they're meant for fiery disposition. Whereas these 2 builds, this one, Boobish Stink, is like my overall Betty build that's good on any talent. You can run any talent with this build virtually and you're gonna pop off. So you have builds like that. He was saying that they were niche. This is one of your rare niche builds that it's good for all. It's not it's popular, it's niche at the same time. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's good for all 3 talents. It's viable for all 3, no matter what, based on what items you're buying. Look at the cards. Stunning Entrance, He Will Explode, Labor of Genius, Queen's Entrance, and Fire from Above. First of all, these 2 cards do not need to be at a 3, but it's recommended that they're at a 3 or more because your resets for your movement abilities, for example, not even the resets, the how high you go vertically and laterally makes a difference on certain maps. Let's say you're playing on Serpent's Beach, where there's a lot of the high rooftops. You know, people like Amani, Drogos, Willow, Andrew, Evie can get up there very easily. Someone like Betty, if you don't have a loadout appropriate for that specific scenario, you're gonna wonder why you can't get up there like everybody else and waste all your abilities trying to get up there and then be pissed off because you can't get up there. And people will make fun of you for it. People will, the first thing I guarantee you your enemy's going to do is look at your loadout and be like, yo, nigga, what you doing? How do you feel about that, Justin?
No, I agree. Especially with the Betty thing right there. Like you said, it's niche because it is sort of map dependent there. Like you have to have that additional bit. Because I've been that person right there where I've tried to make those jumps and I'm like, why can't I make this jump?
Yeah.
And then I added those cards in and I'm like, this really changes how Betty plays and it really is viable, honestly, all the time. I think at least having those cards in your build with her. Just that extra bit of mobility. I think Lilith has the same kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. She
Granted,
does.
Lilith, she kind of needs a little bit more viability with her cards, but
I agree.
She does have those cards too that do the vertical and the lateral movement, and it makes her so jumpy.
I'm going to put them on a 5. We're going to go in the training grounds, and I'm going to show you the difference from having them at my normal, the 5, and then not having it at all. So, run that. This.
Like there's things when you have it at level 5, you can make most of your jumps in like 2 jumps.
Mm-hmm.
You just have that extra third one just to have fun.
We're gonna go in the shooting range, and I'm gonna explain what I'm talking about. Also, that Victor skin scares me every time. I like forget that that's the one that's the default one.
There's no mercy.
Alright, so fire disposition. I just made this build, right? Look at the... First of all, you do not need these at a 5. Please do not run this. I mean, if you run it, do you? But it's just funny. So, if you have maps like this where there's not anything like this where you can jump up, you can simply use your jumps. So now, I always say to jump or look up when you go to jump, or be close to a wall so you can get extra jump height. That took 2 jumps and I still have a 3rd jump, you know what I mean?
Time to spend my hoard.
But that is crazy. Now if I swap loadout and let's say I run... let's see. I have those same cards at like a 3, right? So let's do that again. 1, 2. I have to use that 3rd one. Do you see the difference? That build is what I always run. I just made this build. I might just run this for the memes and my normal lobbies just to be an asshole.
I like the level 5.
I'm not gonna lie, girl. That's a little stink.
It's nice.
On both of them is actually kind of fucking dumb. That's crazy.
Yeah, when you have both of them. For sure.
You can get across so easily. Now, I'm not gonna lie. Betty on release. Betty Baby Boop on release had that about that much jump height and that much distance before fucking with the cards. I shit you not. That's how good Betty was. Once upon a Betty, she could do this in 2 jumps on release and not have to use that. I mean, it was so crazy, and the resets were nuts. You remember, yeah. So it's like stuff like that makes a huge difference, you know? Making it in 2 jumps versus 3, having to buy Chronos versus not, and being able to buy something else. Things like that are with all champs, not just her. So those are what we are talking about when we're saying niche builds. That's like the main kind of direction what Justin was getting at when he was talking about that raise. This is kind of what we put. I don't know if you've been lurking so far. This is what we've put here. I'll zoom in so you can get a better look. I don't know if you want to add to it or have anything to say about it. Oh, you gotta be right back? Okay. Give me a minute to hit the blunt real quick. We can get into what's a filler card or what makes a filler card versus crucial. So what I was thinking is Can I make this like in a column? I guess not. Okay, well, I'll just do it like that. What makes a filler card versus a crucial card? Well, not every champion needs ammo gen.
True.
Not every champion needs shielding. Because there are some people that I see will argue that fact, and I'm going to explain why. As much as it sounds good on paper, in a realistic game, compared to what you go against, that extra shielding, all it takes is that enemy buying wrecker. No one on the team could be having a need to buy wrecker. And just because you've got extra shielding, they'll buy wrecker, and it just defeats the whole purpose of you even doing that. You know what I mean? No amount of you adding shielding on your character and then your partner that you're playing with playing a healer giving you extra shielding, like on paper in your mind, sounds amazing. They buy record, it's a done deal. It defeats the fucking purpose of you even doing it in the first place. So, and it took me a long time to learn that. That's something that wasn't explained to me or told to me.
Right. I think another thing that makes like a good filler card are ones that kind of start off at a higher base value and then they scale lower.
Ooh,
If that makes
yeah.
sense. So, I'm trying to think of some examples.
Ray, the damage one, take
Oh, yeah.
so amount of damage. You do like this,
Mhm.
like yeah.
Dredge, after he teleports and he has his jump, it starts off like a second and a half from base, and then I think you only get like. Here, let me actually get it so I'm not saying it incorrectly. What card is that? Yeah, Expansive Vault. So, it's 2.5 seconds. So, jump height increased by 1000% after 2.5 seconds after exiting shortcut. But if you scale it up, every point that you scale it up only adds a second. So,
All right,
that's what I mean
Rays,
by
no
like
worries.
the base
Mhm.
meat doing more value than like the scale. So, I think those make good filler cards too. Things like that.
I'll put one comparing value.
Yeah.
Comparing return value.
Like, one filler card I love for Ceres is the Spirit Leech, where she regenerates 2 ammo every half a second that she's channeling Restore. If she's the only healer, she's gonna be healing a lot. So she's getting, like, 2 ammo every half a second, channels it for a second and a half, that's 6 ammo, just at level 1.
Yeah.
If you're doing a full heal. Now, granted, that one scales evenly to every time, but it's things like that. Like, you really only need it at level 1 to get a pretty decent impact and value in it. Having it at level 5, 10 ammo every half a second. Well, her maximum ammo, I think, from base is like 12 or something. So,
right.
You're over capping, you're overvaluing it at that point.
Yeah, and that's a good point because there's a lot with the healers. There's some people that really like make builds that they're overdoing the value and honestly hurting themselves in the long run, not really allowing themselves to do what they need to do because they're wasting those spots that could have been other cards could have been picked instead, you know. Hi Thomas, how are you? Thank you for that sub. I appreciate you. Welcome on in. We're just chatting about some Paladins stuffs. We're on our 4th episode of the Paladins Bugcast, and we're just going through the motion. We've kind of just been chatting about all kinds of stuff build related when making builds on Paladins. Crucial cards versus non-crucial cards. We talked about champ specific cards that are more beneficial to, like, say base health. How quickly they can move. Like we talked about the speedy term, which I think we talked about this when we were talking about items. When I said earlier, you know, not every champion needs ammo gen or shielding. Certain cards aren't needed on certain champs. They're just kind of there to be there, which is another way of saying filler. So how could we explain that to someone who's new, who may not know? How can you tell one is a card?
Hmm. I think a good general filler cards are usually ones that are left at like level 1 and 2, something
Mm-hmm.
like that. So like you're really not seeking a lot of value out of that card.
Mm-hmm.
I think something that is going to give you consistent value even at that low value is a good filler card. So things like the base health increase, they're not, I don't know, I don't think they're like that great, but if you only have like one or two spots to fill and you don't know what to choose, that level 1 or 2 could break certain thresholds. Like you'll survive a
Mm-hmm.
Gen Assault with 50 health because you added that card in or something like that. Granted, it's very rare that that's the scenario, but little things like that. If you don't know what else to choose,
I
something that's going to give you very consistent value. Like,
Yeah, the way I
yeah.
summarized that was certain cards ooh, that are consistent in value but aren't. What the fuck? I'm high as fuck. My grammar ain't there. Aren't highly impactful. Um, wait. Are consistent in value. Oh, but aren't highly impactful. On a case by case basis.
Yeah, I like that. That
This
summarizes it pretty good.
this is on a case by case basis. This
Like
is
things that are consistently happening versus like,
right.
oh, I'm only going to get this for 2 seconds on a 14-second
Right.
cooldown kind of thing. Like, that's
Yeah.
not very consistent.
Yeah. No, and people take a card like that and max it and thinking it's gonna do something and it doesn't. And then they get disappointed and it's like, well. Alright, I like that so far. So that kind of just covers that. And then for the community poll, I think this would be a really good community poll. I want to pick everyone's brain about that, like what cards for what champs um, are filler
Mhm.
versus crucial. Um, Popular builds. I want to like. Wait. I want to. Popular versus unpopular builds. Necessities. So I put filler versus crucial cards and then popular versus unpopular builds, necessities. Necessities meaning like when you're running these builds that are popular, let's say it's a movement, build. What cards are your go-to for those champs? So for like you were getting into term, we can like kind of dabble in that. Or for example, Nyx.
Nyx.
Justin and I
Yeah,
both
no, for
know
sure.
this right here, zoomies. This is a
Yeah, is
must.
that
This
my
is
zoomies?
this is your zoomies. We're gonna use your
Yeah, it
zoomies build
is.
as you want to explain what is your thought process when you made this build. What was the crucial card? Obviously, we can see the two, but explain why you chose these two specific cards as your most crucial cards. What about them makes the build work and why?
So the whole thought process on this build was kind of like the scenario I had given earlier where there's a very mobile team and it's hard for you to keep up without having any mobility of your own, right?
Yeah.
Or the second thought process that I kind of had along when I was making this build was this could make me probably off tank a little easier because most of the
Mhm.
time when you're off tanking you don't want to sluggishly like get to the back line, right? Like
Yeah.
you want to get back there, do your thing, and get out if need be.
Yeah.
Nyx doesn't really have that advantage through her abilities. So through her cards, as you can see, they're pretty decent like times on these cards too. Like the Rift Slash card, it's 20% movement speed for 5 seconds. 5 seconds is a lot of time in Paladins.
Yeah.
And then the other card, the Shield movement one, the Frontline Commander,
Yeah.
that one gives movement speed. It also slows the enemies if they do that. So if you're like chasing somebody, again with that off tank mindset, you're chasing someone, they start running away, you put the shield right behind them, they're gonna slow, you walk through the shield, you get the speed buff.
Right.
Girl, it's like you're skating across molasses while they're walking through it.
Exactly. I love the
So
way you
that was
explain
kind of
that.
the whole thought
Yeah.
process on this build right here. with that. And then, of
Yes.
course, like once your movement speed from the shield wears off, you throw out a slash. You don't have to charge the slash up to get that movement speed. You just throw it out level 1, boom, you get the movement speed.
Yeah.
And usually you're already on their ass, so you don't really need to charge it up.
Right. I'm an asshole.
So
I
yeah.
charge it up just to throw it far, especially like I've gotten a Canessa who teleported from me and killed her with it. I mean, there's
Oh
been,
no,
yeah,
definitely.
it's
So
just
that's another thing. I just side topic on Nyx. Her Rift Slash, charge it up by how far you want to throw it, not by how much damage you want to do. Because
right,
the only damage that it increases is that initial burst. The
right,
damage over time and that final burst
right.
is always going to be the same.
Exactly. Yeah, the distance. I
So
think a lot
just
of people
charge it up for
misconceive
how
that
much
about
distance you
her.
need.
People assume that it,
Mm-hmm.
it makes the damage increase, and it's like, no, no, no. It's distance. For me, it's
Yeah.
like, who else is similar to that in a way? Kind of Atlas when you charge your hits, I guess, because you're
Ooh,
doing
yeah.
the same amount of damage, but you get it more consistent. Like you can get headshots when you, because you
Mm-hmm.
can do it when you spray too. But I feel like if you're getting a Kogart who's maneuvering through the air and you can snipe his ass right as he's coming out of his shadow step, like dude, that's kind of it's dope. I mean, I've done it. I've done it. I've hit lucky shots like that, and it's a rare occasion. It's a niche thing, like we said, but it's a similar concept. And
Right.
to people, to the audience that's watching and listening to this, like they're either they know about it and they don't utilize it as much or forget about it, or you're new and you didn't know and you're like, what the hell are they talking about? So, for example, let me get out of this so I can show you what we're talking about. Let's go back to the shooting range. So I'm going to play Nyx and I'll play Atlas.
When you kill someone, you also die.
I'll play Atlas first. So, I have a lot of builds with him. This one, this one's just resets. I heal and I get resets. That's why it has that
I thought it was
face.
just a big smiley face.
It is. um, which one has the movement speed? This one, I think. Yeah, this has the movement speed. So, like, the charging of the thing we're talking about is this. Like, the charge shots versus going... Like, it's so inaccurate versus just... Now, with the
Right.
movement speed thing,
Everything stops.
Atlas and Nyx have the same, similar thing. Like, you move a little faster with moving in between the shields. So, for Nyx... Oh, hold on. Change champion. Nyx, where you at, girl?
Extra item or two will help spread
So,
my will.
Justin's build.
The power of a
We,
ruler.
like, you were just ridiculous. I could sidestep a fucking Tyra. Not even
So-
a fucking 7.
Throw the shield up, walk through it, then do a slash, and then walk.
Alright, I had to wait for it to come back. Hold on. I gotta wait for it to...
Step on the little shiny thing that has the hourglass symbol. It'll reduce your cooldowns.
Kaboo.
Fit for a queen.
Wee. That shit's funny as fuck to me because
And look,
it's...
you don't even have nimble yet.
Yeah!
Without nimble.
I know. Well, I mean...
This was the thought process behind that. I was like, how can I get away from
That's
turn
what
and
I'm
keep up
saying.
with turn
People
without
aren't
dying?
thinking about how to make the base thing
I wanna be
crazy
next turn.
before you buy items. Because then when you buy items, it's like we were talking about. It just... Because then you
Exactly.
buy max
So
nimble
with
and you're
this-
just like, wee!
With that, I go Chronos nimble. That way I can constantly spam
Yeah.
my stuff and keep the
But
movement
that's
going.
that's an amazing thought process that a lot of people have about different champions on their own, but they don't for some reason they have that thought process with their main and then don't think like that for their tanks. You know what I mean? Like think the same way that you do for your main damage and flanks that you do, or for vice versa for your tanks that you do with your damages and your flanks. Like the same cheeky little builds that you make to get those executes, to get the point, to do what you need to do to win the game. Like that's what it's all about. Obviously, you want to win, and by creating these unbuilds, regardless of them being meme builds or not, because now we're getting into the memery of it. We've talked about popular and unpopular, and what makes what, but meme builds. I mean, There's so many. I have a Nando boot build somewhere.
Yes,
Is
I
it
love
this
Nando
one?
boots.
No, I don't remember. I think I got rid of it, but I had a Nando boot
Is it the
build.
Yeet build?
Is it the Yeet build?
Fernando.
Oh, I didn't even see this. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Is it the Yeet build? No. Things are happening. I haven't gone that in a while. I might just do that. I have another one called Later Nerd. It's a boot build from Ash.
Later.
You just run that with her shoulder bash talent. This is my what you call it, slug shot build. Slug channeling.
The thing about slugshot is pew pew.
But yeah, you know, I mean, everybody has their memory, you know. Everybody knows about my emoji builds. It's literally virtually the same, just like tweets differently, but they all basically run. These are all for these are 3 different builds for the same talent. Like, that's so funny. So this is the build that Raz gave me like 2 years ago, and I still run it because it's cracked as fuck, and I don't touch it because it's so good. It's so good. But then this is like a really like.
Lizard part.
This is supposed to be a test build, so I named it Stink with a question mark. And then this one's test viable, meaning like I tested it and I was like, oh yeah, I had a good game. This means I had a high emoji damage game. When I name something viable or like something like an approval with next to it, like it's a go. This build I stole from a fucking damage inferior that beat my ass. She was so good, and she had like over 100k damage. So I stole it from her, and I named it Beamho Nuggets. Hi Audrey, how are you? But like Pew Pew heals, Pew Pew healer, Be Me Daddy.
You made a Be Me Daddy build?
I don't want to talk about it.
Yes.
A little crazy never hurt anyone.
I have Edgelord Rom. I don't know if this is good or not. I think it's Void Lord's at 5. I think that's why I named it Edgelord. I don't know. I haven't tried this one yet. I don't remember running it. But Ho Shit is the ROM build I usually run, where I get high damage and high healing. It's meant for the healer talent. Which, again, just saying, certain builds make a huge difference. Like, look at this. This shit's ridiculous. Like, the amount of healing that you do when you knock a bunch of, especially if they're grouped, like when we go against a lot of these comps that are grouped and I get them together and I could like hit them all, I knock them up super high for 1. For 2, I'm getting mad stacks to like heal, so anyone who's near me is getting healed for, like, you've seen my healing numbers. I've done like 84k on Rom as a healer, which is crazy because he's Rom. Like, doesn't make any sense, but like I'm saying is doable with certain characters. Like another one is Khan. People sleep on Khan. I don't even play Khan like that. Compared to my other people, like, he's not leveled up like that. I run this build, which is just, it's nice. You get resets like fuck. And it's basically reset bullets, which Sparks, he used to play with Andrew Chicken. Like, he was a big influence to my Khan loadouts. But that allows me to get my ult. Like, you're basically just aggressive. You're running with your DPS while like going on and off points. You're off tanking as you should be, because if you solo play him, like, people will rag on you about it. But if you know how to get kills, like run with your DPS, like finish the job and keep everybody like healed who's doing stuff in the back lines, like, you can get stuff done. I've gone against comps that like shouldn't work, but they work because they have a good con playing super defensively and then offensively. A con that could do both is terrifying. Don't get me started on like vortex grip cons who can actually like hit the fucking stun, which I don't know, it's weird because he's bugged. So I don't know, you can have like the 2 talents. A lot of people judge when you play them, you know, when you do the 2 talents thing. It's cringe. It is, but that's no one's fault but high res, because it's low res. You know what it is. Same with Koa. I have a pluck build that basically, as long as you get that hook and you shell spin immediately after, you heal for 1,000. So if they're grouped, you're healing 1,000 for each enemy hit with a shell spin.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
That's
What
my
the hell?
point. It's
What?
stupid. I
Okay, now I
know.
gotta try that out.
Babes,
That's not
take
even a
it.
level 5.
I know. Take it,
Hold
please.
on.
Take this
Hold
build.
on.
It's fun.
Yes.
If you are a person who's been wanting to play Makoa and wanting to try pluck Makoa and you're just like not confident of your hooks, I'll never forget Dark. He came in yesterday to sub. Dark was the person who influenced me to play Makoa more aggressively because I was like, oh, Makoa seems like it'd be so fun, but I don't know how to hit hooks. He was like, dude, just go for it and keep missing until you don't miss. And I've figured out the way you're supposed to aim it now to where I rarely miss, and if I do miss, I start. Your job when you're playing hook Makoa is to get those hooks right. I understand certain flanks are really high mobility and can be hard, but I'm telling you, if you be a type of player that plays all these different champions, including these high mobility flanks, you can begin to predict where they're going to go. If you're playing against Savatu, you know that if he is low health, he's either dashing up or back behind you to cause distortion, right? If you can track where you predict they are going to go next, that's where you're going to hook. That's where you need to hook. Not where they're at currently, because it takes a few seconds for that animation to happen. You need to take that into consideration when doing that. Again, if you don't play Hook Makoa, you wouldn't know that. I didn't know that. It took me playing it to understand that. So it's like, these are just things to think about when we're talking about builds. So we're getting up to 42 minutes. Justin, did you want to add anything?
No. Just play around, have fun. There's a few. I don't think we mentioned it yet in this one. I know we mentioned it before, but there's always the import feature. That's how we grab builds from each other. So if you're ever watching Alliie stream, for example,
I'll do it right
you're
now.
like, wow, she's really popping off on this Willow.
Yeah.
I want to see how I can Willow like that.
Yep.
Boom.
Here, let's go to click Willow. So what
That's
you
a
would
good way
do,
that you could see.
you click on the champ, you click on, where is it? The loadouts. Create new loadout. It's a little button right here, bottom left, import. You can search by your friends, so you can look through your friends list. Old Justin, Zombie Zone. I'm going to hijack his build, and yeet. I have his build now. So now if you don't want to do it that way, if it's like a YouTuber you're watching, like let's say you watch NTBs, right? And you're like, oh, I'm a huge fan. I want to grab one of his builds. He's got to have a good Willow build, right? Boom. Blast flowers, spam, boom, boom, bees. I'm going to just steal this because it says bees. Boom. That's how you import builds. So, anyone have any questions before we close this out? I really enjoyed today's episode. It was nice and laid back and just a vibe. It was really fun. And if you learned something, let us know. If you're watching this on YouTube, leave a comment below if you have any questions or would like to request us to talk about something. If there's something we didn't cover enough of, I love to talk. Justin loves to talk. You can let us know. You know, say the word and we will go on a long tangent. We both love to play Willow, so if y'all want us to do a deep dive on Willow, listen. We could do a lore.
We have to time check ourselves for a reason.
We do have to time check ourselves. I literally do it all the time because I could talk boo boo. Like when I was like, why is our community poll episode longer than any of our episodes? It's an hour and a half, you guys. That's why it's taking me so long to edit it and edit it and post it. Well, thank you so much for being here. I really do appreciate it. And you guys, I hope you enjoyed being a part of just watching, you know, us go through that. And again, if you really enjoyed the episode, let me know by liking and sharing our content. I will be editing the description box this weekend of the previous uploads to make sure it reflects everybody that's played a part in it, so you can support all the friends that are creating content. Some of the friends aren't creating content, but they're just amazing as is. So they have given me their permission to put their Cash App in there. So if you ever want to support them, if you just enjoy the podcast and you want to shoot them a tip, I'll include that in the description box when I upload this on YouTube. So you guys have a good rest of your day. I'm still going to continue to be live, but instead of playing Paladins, I'm keeping to my schedule that I said I was going to do because I haven't done art in so long. So we are going to be doing art today. I'm painting. I'm going to be playing good music. I ain't ready to drink yet. I'm still like feeling it from yesterday. So, you know, we're gonna keep drinking water until I'm ready to start again. So you guys have a good one. I already